Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started with our recognitions. Our first recognition this evening is our McCollum High School golf athletes who advanced to regionals, Joshua Juarez and Alejandra Alvarez. If they can please come up. For our track athletes that advanced to regionals, we will start with our McCollum High School. We have Dominic Zapata, David Garza, Jeremiah Guerra, and Luke Landa. Harlandale High School 4x200-meter relay and 4x400-meter relay. We have Jimmy Gallardo, Zion Molina, Roger Dominguez, Michael Palomino, Isaiah Hernandez, and Santiago Rivas. Oh, and Jermaine Ramirez also. We also have boys shot put from McCollum High School, Aiden Cano. From McCollum Tennis, we have Tony Tavakol, District 28 5A District Champion and Regional Qualifier. We also had a few Adams Elementary art students who went to the regional and state competition for art. So I'm going to name them Jose Luis Rodriguez, Vladimir Guerrero, Phoenix Gutierrez, Jaislyn Sesto, Erlyn Pachecano, Mateo Galindo, Kiara Garcia, Jade Perez, Alessandra Lopez, Penelope Rodriguez, Geraldo Trevino, and Arthur Wood. And their artwork's going to be displayed at the MACNA starting on May 26th. Our next students being recognized are Delilah Gonzalez and Liana Terrazas from Harlandale High School. They both completed the law enforcement program of study. They earned their non-commissioned security officer IBC and have officially signed on with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Now we have our Harlandale High School bands, non-varsity and varsity bands. They both got sweepstakes at UIL concert and sight reading. Our McCollum High School Theater, UIL one-act play zone champions, district champions, by-district champions, and area finalists. Our McCollum High School Band, also superior rating in UIL sight reading, second place Battle of the Flowers Band Festival, and third place Battle of the Flowers Parade. Kingsborough Theater got a superior rating in the One Act Play Festival. Artero Wells Theater also got a superior rating in the One Act Play Festival. And now I'm gonna ask Miss Sedona Woody to come up. We have a special award for a special principal this evening. So the principal that they're going to be awarding this to has fully supported the library and values its critical role in the school, sees it as a vital and integral component, and goes out of her way to ensure that the staff, students, and parents utilize all it offers. A huge supporter of improving the library in every area since she sees it as the hub of our school. Ensures the library is fully budgeted for new library books and reading incentives. Believes the librarian is a vital team member of our school and therefore always includes her as part of the leadership committee to collaborate in making decisions for the overall success of the students and to keep her informed and in the loop of everything going on school-wide. Values the input of her librarian and generally takes her recommendations into serious consideration when making decisions regarding the library. Encourages her librarian to speak at weekly parent meetings to keep parents well informed on library information. Looks forward to and genuinely loves participating as a guest reader in our Read Across America yearly event. Always supports and encourages participation in our many reading contests throughout the school year. And she is the #1 fan for the Battle of the Books yearly competition. The award is being granted to Miss Wing. Miss Wing from Gilbert Elementary. And last year's recipient was Ms. Gimbel from Kingsborough Middle School. If I can have Dr. Nojosa come up, we're gonna award a special award this evening. We're starting a new initiative here at Harlandale where we recognize an exemplary employee. We're calling it the Crystal Apple Award. So this year, if we can have Mr. Rito Brambilia come up. Mr. Rito Brambilia has exemplified what it is to be an ideal employee. He has demonstrated a great work ethic and has proven to be a great asset for Harlandale ISD. His relentless work ethic has led him to have great troubleshooting skills as an HVAC technician and also the ability to provide high quality results for the students and staff of the district. With his knowledge in electric repair, which he attained through a certification program in Mexico, he diagnosed and repaired faulty control modules that are determined to the building automation systems at Leal Middle School and Terra Wells Middle School. He meticulously went through each electronic component located on each circuit board that make up these modules. In making these repairs, these faulty modules were able to be salvaged, and Mr. Brambilia saved the school district an expense of about $60,000. It is this extra effort, along with a character and willingness to help others, that Mr. Brambilia has demonstrated his dedication, commitment, and his value to Harlandale ISD. Congratulations. And if I can have Ms. Erica Castro come up, she has a special award as well for the board.
Good afternoon, members of the board and cabinet. On April 29th, we were able to celebrate and announce to campuses the total amount of TIA funds that each campus generated for the district. I am proud to announce and present to you the total amount that the district is generating for the 140 designated teachers that we have here at Harlandale ISD in the amount of $1,650,003.
And that concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you very much and congratulations to everybody.
thought of the day and the Pledge of Allegiance and such.
Good evening, board and cabinet members. Welcome to Harlandale Middle School. Here to recite the pledges, we have our student council president, Zabdi Marquez Aurelio.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas Pledge. Honra la bandera de Texas, te juro lealtad, Texas, un estado bajo Dios, uno e indivisible.
The quote of the day. Education is for improving the lives of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it. Marian Wright Edelman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martinez. We're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order now. It is now 6:16. We're here at Harlandale Middle School, 300 West Huff, San Antonio, Texas. We're gonna go ahead and call roll call. As was shared with us, we will be pointing towards this direction when it comes to the clickers that we have. So we'll go ahead and start with roll call. Yeah, point this way. All right, we can go ahead and close the vote. All right, we do declare a quorum present. It is now 6:17. And prior to moving on, we do have Dr. Castleberry here, our conservator, so welcome him. Moving on to item C, recording superintendent, staff members present, Mr. Soto.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, before I acknowledge my cabinet, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Roy on the cleanliness and the beautification of this campus that has done an outstanding job. And so let's give him a round of applause. He's working. This evening, we have our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, Mr. David Flores.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Hinojosa.
Here.
We have our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Ms. Casey. And filling in for Executive Director of Human Resources, Ms. Sandra Guerra.
Here.
And we have our Public Information Officer, Ms. Vieira.
Perfect, thank you. So moving on to public comments, we do have a couple of speakers signed up to speak. So we'd like to welcome up to the podium. The first speaker will be Ms. Maricruz Martinez. If you can join us up at the podium, please. And as you continue forward, Ms. Martinez, as you know, we do have a timer there for you for the benefit of knowing how much time we have left. So whenever you're ready, please start.
Good evening. The end of the school year is fast approaching, and with that comes budget talks that will affect employees' raises. Although we will say goodbye to colleagues we do not want to lose, we do wish them well. There are many of us that have remained through pandemics, school closures, personal setbacks, illness, and continued over testing, but that's a topic for another meeting. In recent years of no higher pay, no stipends, and in some schools, no RTI support and employee shortages, and many employee shortages, many still remain. The responsibilities do not go away because of change. In fact, they become more stressful, and the amazing and dedicated faculty and staff that remain are the ones that meeting students' needs. We know educational support and funding is dismal, to say the least, but nothing changes the fact that all those in classrooms at each campus at all levels are dealing with doing so much more. As you begin to plan next year's budgets, I urge you, HISD board and district leaders, to consider the following pay increases for teachers and librarians based on current base pay and not at the midpoint. 4% for 1 to 10 years, 5% for 11 to 20 years, 6% for 21 plus years, 4% for admin and professional employees on their current base pay and not the midpoint. and a $2 increase for hourly employees. Thank you very much for their increase last year, but they remain well below a livable wage. Thank you for the increase in pay for spec ed teams working without classroom teachers as well. We ask that you approve fair pay for our dedication to education. Please take care of those of us that remain. I do want to mention that I am well aware that in most districts, it is policy for the community to only speak on listed agenda items that are specific to the meeting and special called meetings. I have been coming to and talking at all kinds of board meetings for a long time. And what a surprise last week to be told, since the item I wanted to speak on was not listed, I could not speak. So the community, meaning me, because I pay taxes and I work in HISD, is not able to take up 2 to 3 minutes of your time with our concerns. So now even the community is being given directives. Are we strangers? Have we not worked through many community issues and other obstacles together? All of a sudden, someone added a bolded line on the agenda, supposedly a year ago, but it is only now being implemented. Still, specifics on the change could not be shared in a more direct manner. Bottom line, when we come to speak on issues to those that we have voted in to sit on these seats and be our voice and our vote on items that are important and affect the employees, students, and our community, we expect to be heard and not pushed away. Harlandale sits in San Antonio, that sits in Texas, that sits in the United States of America, where supposedly people's votes and voices matter. That's what we teach. Why the change? During these difficult times, it is when we should be sharing, listening, and supporting each other even more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maricruz. Moving on, we have Ms. Natalie Clifford. If you'd like to start, please proceed.
Good evening, Superintendent Soto, Board Chair Moreno, Cabinet Board members in Harlandale ISD community. My name is Natalie Clifford, and I have had the honor of serving as the president of the Harlandale Education Association for the past 2 years. I'll be finishing my 2-year term as the union president on May 31st. I'm speaking tonight during challenging times regarding the need for some financial support for our staff. I know that the state of Texas, under the leadership of our governor, has not allocated any increase in funding for public schools despite the budget surplus that exists in our state. Nevertheless, if there's any room for flexibility, we ask that you all find a way to be creative in concretely and financially recognizing our dedicated hourly staff as well as classroom teachers. During my time as the union president, I have learned a lot from my fellow union members as well as from district leadership and school board members. I want to express my genuine appreciation and gratitude for the hours that you all continue to devote to our beloved community here on the South Side. Although I am not from Harlandale, I have felt welcomed and supported over my time, not only as union president, but also throughout my time serving as a classroom teacher. I will continue to advocate and support our community despite no longer serving in the role as union president. The union's strength lies in its numbers and the shared commitment to ensuring that all workers are treated with dignity and compensated fairly. I know that the union will continue to be strong under the leadership of Maricruz Martinez and the excellent team we have built over these past few years. I'm fully confident that together we will continue to collaborate towards equity and justice for all in a world that is not designed that way. Thank you all again for your time and support for our students, staff, and community. May you all find some time to rest this upcoming summer.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on, we do have Ms. Danielle Cepeda. When you're ready, ma'am. Danielle. And Ms. Cepeda, you do have the timer there to make note of, please. Whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Hello, good evening. My name is Danielle Cepeda. And I've spent my entire career as a teacher here in Harlandale ISD. As a teacher and a mother, I know it's important to have the highest expectations of our children, of our students, and especially of ourselves. We set the bar high and students will rise. We say it all the time. I am here because TIA has made us feel like the bar has come kind of crashing down on some of us. At the beginning of this school year, all pre-K teachers were asked to come together to create a test for TIA. Something we were originally told would be created for us. It was presented as an opportunity to qualify for bonuses for outstanding teaching. We were never asked if we wanted to participate or how we felt about the program. We were given 1 day to make 2 math tests and 2 literacy tests. So math for 3-year-olds, literacy for 3-year-olds, math for 4-year-olds, and literacy for 4-year-olds. Just 1 day to do something so important. As teachers, we are not high stakes test creators. And we did our best with what the 1 day that we had. We were never told this test would be used to evaluate us or how it would be scored at the end. We were, however, told in a roundabout way that we couldn't be trusted to test our own students when kinder through 5th grade are capable of doing so. I don't know how many of you have had little ones, but they shut down when a stranger is asking them questions. Already it was set up for failure, or at the very least, very inaccurate results. When all was said and done and the scores came out, we were heartbroken. Students who showed growth of upwards of 30% in one school year were deemed no growth. In some cases, 3- and 4-year-olds would have had to score 100% on the test to show growth. That is unreasonable and unattainable. When my team and I asked about it, we were told that it was our job to make sure that we had put enough questions and that the scoring would work out. Remember, we were only given 1 day and no help. The growth measures were never shared with us, so we could have a goal in mind. These results are now being used to evaluate us. I'm not asking for less accountability, but I am asking that it truly represents what's going on in the classroom. There are changes that could be made, such as calculating the pre-K and 4 growth rate separately, setting reasonable but high growth measures, just like we do with STAR. And finally, not reducing, oh, and I'm so sorry, I missed testing our own students, being trusted as educators to do so. And finally, not reducing the hard work, patience, kindness, and dedication it takes as a single score on our T-test domain 5. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next speaker, we do have, I believe it's Gary Garcia. If there's a Gwen, I apologize, ma'am. Ms. Garcia, as you can, please.
Yes,
ready.
I just like to address the board. I have a problem with the school that my grandkids go to. They go to Adams Elementary. And I was informed that we cannot go to their wards, only the parents. We are grandparents and we put in as much as the parents. And I was told we could live stream it. To me, I'm always there for my kids and my grandkids. So I don't think that it's not feasible for us to have to live stream something. My other granddaughter had a chess tournament, live stream, no parents. Are y'all pushing us out? We're not able to volunteer. We're not able to do anything with the schools. So as a grandparent, I feel like I'm being pushed out. So what I like for y'all to do is just address this. They say it's because school's closed. All these kids are at our campus. Well, then I say have it at a bigger place so we can all go. It's just simple thinking about other people because we need to be there too. I'm there for everything my kids do, everything my grandkids do. So I'd appreciate it if we just look into that where we can also participate. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to the next piece, Ms. Mariana, for announcements, please.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. I have a couple of announcements this evening. I wanted to let you know that the Believe It Foundation gave a bike donation last week in honor of Mr. Gerald Golick for the special education department. So I wanted you to be aware, and we wanted to thank them for this generous donation for our special education department. As you know, we are 1 week away from our graduations. We have these two flyers out in the community, just reminding our community of the things that are allowed or not allowed at the stadium. The Frank Tejeda ceremony will be at 8:30 a.m. on May 30th. McCollum High School ceremony will also be on May 30th at 7:30 p.m. The next day, we have STEM Early College High School at 8:30 a.m. and then Harlandale High School at 7:30 p.m. The doors will open 1 hour before each ceremony. So for the morning ceremonies, the doors will open at 7:30 a.m. And for the evening ceremonies, they will open at 6:30 p.m. And so some of the prohibited items are balloons, noisemakers such as air horns, anything that blocks people's views. Obviously, no vaping, no smoking, and we do not allow tailgating. And then for our graduates, we just want to make sure that they show up in their cap and gown. And we are advising that they don't wear high heels or stilettos just for their safety. Any
Mr.
questions on that item?
Mr. Luna, you had a question, sir?
Yes, I truly appreciate you doing this, announcing this, but I feel that it's, some of the items is just too broad and it's brought to my attention, like what size poster, if I can bring one or not? Are cowbells allowed or not? Things like that have come to my attention, so I hope we present a more detailed what's allowed, not allowed. I'm sure other places do this kind of brown back, check, so we can just kind of put that out for the community. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And we just want to make sure that everybody has a good time, that they are able to celebrate their students. And so we just ask them to be mindful of people sitting in front of them, people sitting around them. We just want to make sure that everybody is able to celebrate their graduates.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Ortiz.
And just along those lines, the parents of the kids whose children's names are announced after families that are still cheering, still doing the cowbells, still doing the cheering, they don't even get to hear their child's name called for the graduation. And so that has happened and brought to my attention when I was up there one time. And I remember that because the family of the child who was graduating after a family that went, I understand they're excited, they're happy, they're proud, but they have to be mindful of the child after them.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Mariana, continue.
Yes, my next announcement is Memorial Day ceremony. It will be on Monday at 8 a.m. at STEM Early College High School. So we just want to invite the community to come out. We have a very special ceremony planned for that morning. And then just a few important dates. This Thursday, we have the Teacher of the Year breakfast at Don Pedro at 8:30 a.m. Our last day of school, believe it or not, is next week, May 30th. Graduations are May 30th and May 31st, like I mentioned earlier. Our back to school bash, we're already thinking about that, even though summer hasn't even started yet, but we're already thinking August 3rd, and it will be at Memorial Stadium. And then our first day of school coming back is August 12th. Any questions?
Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on any of these items that were presented? All right, well, thank you, Ms. Mariana. I guess
Thank
we'll
you.
continue. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of one another these next couple of weeks. So moving on to item 5A, information reports, item student outcomes, GPM 1.1 for 5.5A. The number of industry-based certifications passed will increase from 13% to 18% by 2024. Mr. Sokol, is that to Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gonzalez? Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Before we begin, some of the board had did submit some questions, and they will be embedded in the presentation. And so if your question that you did submit, you don't feel that was clarified enough, please let us know and Mr. Gonzalez will reiterate the presentation.
All right, thank you, sir, for providing that insight. When you're ready, sir, please.
Good evening, Superintendent Soto and members of the board and cabinet. My name is Norberto Gonzalez. I'm the CCMR coordinator. And today we'll be discussing industry-based certifications. And as Mr. Soto mentioned, we did receive your questions and I incorporated a lot of the responses inside, so I'll be addressing them. But if there's something that wasn't addressed, please let me know and I can address it. Sorry, there we go. So, okay, there it is. So the goal we're discussing today is GPM 1.1, industry-based certifications. The number of industry-based certifications passed will increase from 13 to 18% by 2024. And we are on track to exceed our goal of 18% with the class of 2023's performance. So that is great news. And as far as CCMR overall, because this is one indicator out of 10 of the CCMR indicators, we would need to have around 64% of our graduating seniors meet one of the indicators in order to earn a C rating, because everything's kind of been rescaled. So I just wanted to give you some perspective on that. This slide shows our market needs. We did receive labor market data in the San Antonio area, and the following clusters have been identified for their growth opportunities and wage earning potential. So they are health science, information technology, and manufacturing. And manufacturing, one of the ones that I'll show later is that we're gonna offer next year is welding. So within these clusters, we offer multiple programs of studies and opportunities for students to earn industry certifications in these fields. We are setting aside local, federal, and bond funds to grow these programs and opportunities in our district. Along with the rescaling of CCMR overall on how our district's rated, that's still pending, but there is an accountability update. Normally, prior to 2023, if students earned an IBC, then they would earn CCMR, the district would earn CCMR for accountability purposes. However, with the class of 2023 graduates, they would have to earn an IBC from two specific lists. So there's a list from 2019 to 2022, and there's an updated list from 2022 to 2024, and they were subject to a cap because they found that there were a lot of students, I guess, across the state who were only earning CCMR through an IBC. So they capped it at the higher of 5 graduates or 20% of all graduates. Now with this year's graduating seniors, they would still need to earn an IBC from those two lists. So the 2019-2022 is subject to that sunsetting cap, but the 22-24 list, there's another criteria that the students have to meet. They also have to, besides earning the IBC, they have to earn credit for at least one level 2 or higher course in an aligned program of study. The level 1 course is usually the introductory course, and a level 2 is the next course in the sequence. So it's making it a little more difficult, I guess, for students to earn CCMR, where they have to focus in on a program of study rather than taking courses from a lot of different ones. So that is an important accountability update for the current graduates. And next, this bar graph shows some data for the past 5 years for Harlandale ISD for IBCs by graduating class. So keep in mind that our graduates, the data lags. So this is the class of 2023. It's projected. It's based on earned certifications, and it is subject to change. I don't have any Region 20 or state averages at this time because those results are delayed. Hopefully we will hear something about that soon, but I just wanted to give you a picture of what our performance looked like. In 2019, as a district, we were at 12%, and we were outperforming the region. They were at 8% and the state at 11%. And in 2020, we took a big hit. a lot of our students were not able to test. So we went, because of COVID and pandemic and other things, we decreased to 3% and we fell behind the state and the region. So in 2021, we did have a significant increase to 10%. But again, we're still behind the region was at 14%, the state's at 19%. In 2022, we had a slight increase to 13%, but it seemed like the gap between our performance and the state and the region widened. However, some good news is that in 2023, we did have another big increase, and we're projecting that 20% of the class of 2023 will earn have earned an IBC. I don't know what the region looks like in the state, but I'm hopeful that we're really close to meeting that, to closing that gap. The next bar graph is by campus. So this is for Harlandale High School. Their data tells a similar story. In 2019, they were outperforming the region and the state by a bigger margin. They had 17%, and it took a huge hit in the COVID year 2020. So they were at 2%. And then in 2021, a significant increase to 13%. 2022, they pretty much stayed the same. But in 2023, it increased to 27%, which is great. So we're almost, Harlandale High School is almost at that state level. And here is McCollum. McCollum, again, in 2019, they were outperforming the state and the region. They had 15%. In COVID, they took a big loss as well, 4%. In 2021, they increased by 8 percentage points. And they were really close to meeting Region 20, and the state was at 19%. In 2022, McCollum also experienced another gain to 20%, right, pretty much close behind Region 20, and the state was at 28%. But if you look at class of 2023, McCollum jumped 11 percentage points to 31%, which is outstanding. And so I'm curious to see what the region and state will look like. When those numbers come out, I can come back and present the updated data to you. So how are we increasing student success? Because the data is telling us that we are increasing student success on IBC completion. So as a district, there are some district supports that are in place. We have aligned courses within each program of study to ensure students are taking all the proper coursework they need to be successful on the IBCs. We're providing resources to teachers on industry certification prep materials specific to the vendors who are providing the tests. And we're working with campus administrators and counselors in the IBC process, even on just the communication about the programs of study and staying within the recommended courses, the course sequence. As far as student-centered supports, as a district, we pay for students to take the IBCs, including the retests, once the students have shown that they're working towards reviewing and tutoring those challenging concepts. And we provide opportunities for students who need assistance with getting their state IDs, which it's illegal IDs are requirements for several of the IBCs. It's one thing if you pass it, but some of them require additional items like a state ID or fingerprints. And it's not considered earned until they meet all the requirements.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz?
and are we providing support? Is the school district providing support like the fingerprints and that are needed to complete that process?
Yes, we are. And also the state IDs as well. Mhm.
Because I know at my place of work, it is one heck of a hard thing to do to get fingerprint cards.
Yes, and there's a cost associated with that as well. Yes. Another thing I wanted to mention as far as IBCs and actually it's just the one thing that as a district we want to work towards is building an awareness of the types of programs that we offer and the opportunities that we have in our district, and encourage students about the benefits of these certifications, because they can graduate and be career ready, and some of them they can enter the workforce with some of these certifications. So, it's just another option for those who are not college bound or who don't want to do college right now. This is a great option for them. So looking towards 2024, our current group who are graduating next week, I just want to do a side-by-side of what they look like performance-wise compared to last year's group. As far as size, they're around the same amount, 948 versus 950. There is a typo, and I provided an update to this slide that Ms. Patty, thank you, Ms. Patty, provided. So for the number of seniors who are enrolled in a CTE course, last year we had 617. This year we have 641. We had 366 seniors in CTE courses attempt an IBC, and this year we'll have approximately 362. Last year we had 188 earn an IBC, and this year we're on track as of today, May 20th. We have 224 students who've earned an IBC, but students, they test until mid-June, and that's counted in the accountability. So more to come on that. So last year we had around 20%, which was in the bar graph that I showed you earlier, who earned an IBC. And this year's class, we're as of right now, 24% of them have earned an IBC. So great news on the performance from our students. And what's happening beyond in 2025 and beyond, the Carol Bell Education Center, there's a picture of it there. We are offering new IBCs through CBEC at both McCollum and Harlandale, which include a barber operating license, the NCCER Core, which is a construction certification, the welder level 1, electrical level 1 and 2, plumbing level 1 and 2, HVAC level 1, refrigerant handling, certified dental assistant, and registered dental assistant X-ray certification. So exciting things are happening in our district. With exciting things remain ongoing challenges, as you know. So if you look at this, these pie graphs here, you'll see that it's a side-by-side of the class of 2023 IBC test takers and the class of 2024 test takers. Although we are experiencing more students having success on these tests, as you can see, we're not having an increase in the number of participants. And that could be for a variety of reasons, and which leads me to our next slide, but it could be that maybe they didn't stick to one program of study and they're switching around. Another one could be student motivation, where they're not motivated to take the exam. So we did move a little bit, but there's still work to be done here. So at this time, I wanted to introduce Megan Guerrero, and she thought it was really important. We all felt it was really important to get the teacher voice in the behind the data. So she's going to introduce a video clip.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Soto, members of the board and cabinet. As Mr. Gonzalez here stated, we understand that the challenges in IBCs are hard to articulate up here in front of you. And so we sent out our film students and asked them to talk to their teachers about this process. And so we'd like to share this video here with you from our teachers.
I personally try to go to as many classes as I can, and I also keep up with the state rules and regulations so I can make sure my kids are better prepared for their state licensing exam.
Being a retired law enforcement officer, I use my real world experience to translate that to the kids so they get a good idea and we're not just doing death by PowerPoint. We can give them real world examples of how they can use these security in the future.
As a teacher, I know the importance of continued learning. So I regularly attend trainings, research industry innovations, and reach out to industry professionals to continue my learning and provide my knowledge to my students so that they can have a successful certification.
I think the best way to motivate a student to take the certification is to give them an experience, not only with the programs, but also a real-world experience in the industry. When they go to Memorial Stadium and they actually see what a live broadcast is like, even though they're not in a newsroom, they're actually taking video of the field, they're transmitting it to the board, and someone is being a technical director behind the scenes calling the shots.
The experience as a police officer and then knowing what I used to do as a security officer has helped me teach the students. So basic information is, observe and report, field note taking, use of force. The other is a big one is when can you make an arrest, when can you not make an arrest. So as an officer, you deal with that on a daily basis. And I have pretty much kind of transferred over my knowledge while I teach the students on the industry-based certification.
To help our students prepare for certification, we take them through programs such as G-Metrics, as well as comprehensive uses of the program and applications throughout their school career.
In preparing students for certification success, I ensure a thorough curriculum covering all necessary exam topics. This involves hands-on practice, real-world projects, and exposure to software tools. I offer personalized support, identifying individuals' strengths and weaknesses. Practice exams, mock tests, and constructive feedback are vital components, enabling students to track progress and address areas needing improvement.
Preparation for the certification test actually can start the year before. We have students that do return, and we'll look at the previous year's data, see how they did on their standards, and then we focus on those areas. Other things that we do, we have lessons in class, obviously, and we do one-on-one and group setting preparation, both in the class and the shop.
Thank you very much. That video, the teachers were asked, how do you prepare students? How do you motivate students for the IBCs? And that's that was all the responses. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. Ms. Cavazos, you said you had a comment or a question?
Yes, I just have a quick question, and I don't know if there's even an answer for it. Could it be that when we as a district aren't at where the region is or the state is, could it be because there are other regions in the state that have offered more courses to choose from? I'm just curious. And I guess what I'm saying is that the more you offer, the more these students are interested in taking those courses?
Or the more programs of study you offer, the more opportunities for them to pass these tests. So I would agree that that could be true. The list it's a long list. If you looked up that list on the TA website, it's a really long list of IBCs that are available. But again, we are limited to what we offer, which we offer a lot, but that could be it. Yes.
I'd like to add something. We do offer quite a bit of number of programs of study. What I will say is that this data doesn't look any different from our STAR data, any type of data we have. We see that lag in all areas of our students across different testing sites. And I think that kind of mirrors and reflects the same with IBCs.
Thank you. I was curious about that. I know that when we go to our continuing education, we go in front of these districts that, are doing presentations on what new courses are doing CTE, and they've got these amazing ones. I'm not saying that we have amazing ones too, and more to come, but I was just curious, is there a difference between where we fall a little behind? Is it comparable to where we follow behind on other matters? Or is there a difference between CCMR and our core, yes, content? I was just curious. So thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, Ms. Guerrero.
I was just going to add to your thing. Sometimes offering too many courses can hinder our student success. So especially as Mr. Gonzalez stated, starting next year, the kids will have to have at least taken up to a level 2 course. The year after that, they have to have at least 4 credits in the same program of study in which they're testing. And so by offering a big variety, we have kids dabbling and never a kid who feels confident enough to sit down and challenge one of these. So simplifying it also helps with that process.
And I just told Mr. Luna, I said, I think that is such a great idea because you are now offering them a chance to evolve in that particular program or course and not pick here, pick here, pick here. And at the end, what did you really get out of it? You know, you had a lot of introductions to different programs and courses, but not anything definite that gave you that certification. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, guys, any other comments, concerns, clarification needed? Ms. Ortiz?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions. Mr. Soto, of the individuals that do take the test and that are, I didn't see what the percentage is of the kids that are unsuccessful. And what are we doing to help those kids that are unable to pass that test? What are we doing to supplement their study, their, like if you're studying for your LSATs, you're taking an LSAT review course, right? Which costs a couple $1,000. But what are we doing to make them successful if they were unsuccessful the first time?
Ms. Casey, can you elaborate? And also the program that we just purchased also can help in that realm?
Oh, well, that's it. That's getting approved tonight. But what we do have is students are able to take the test multiple times. And during that time, we do know, some of the teachers alluded to this. They do practice tests. There are practice tests in each of the programs of study that students are able to take. It actually gives teachers a report of where their deficit, where the areas of deficit, and then they're able to practice that skill. We do ask students to do tutoring. I think our automotive teacher said they'll do one-on-one tutoring, small group tutoring. So there's quite a bit of intervention that takes place for every student who doesn't pass, and then they're able to retest again. I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that, but we have quite a bit of intervention.
It varies for every program of study, right? So I know like our Cosmo teacher will do extended hours because every certification has different requirements for our students. So if it's simply just sitting down and taking the test is the issue, our teachers create one-on-one tutoring, guidance, those kinds of things. We do purchase a series of test materials that help them. One of the teachers mentioned Geometrics is a program where the kids can practice the test environment. Some of the issues though are the kids pass the test, they just don't come back to follow up, which gets us that earned certification, where we get them fingerprinted and those kinds of things as well.
So my follow-up question is going to be, what are we doing to make sure that those kiddos that do pass the tests that we hound them to death till they come and get that full certification? It's just the Walmart visit that I have where a parent stops me and say, hey, Miss Ortiz, my kid just went to a school for 9 months. We're $15,000 in debt for classes or certifications that we offered for free.
Okay, I can answer that for you. So this year we really kind of changed up our game. We had 35 students who were not going to be able to get their non-commissioned officer test because they didn't have a state ID. So my staff showed up at the campus every day. We provided the legal AARs and immunization records, which shows proof of identity for the students. We drove the students to the DMV, hounded them, and were able to get 16 kids their state IDs. Allowed us to put them into the non-commissioned security officer program. Then we got about 55 of them to get their fingerprints. And I'm telling you that, the admin behind me can justify, we've been hounding them every day, showing up. We still just have a series of kids who don't show up. And that's out of that 35 to 16. They would just not bring their paperwork or the things that they needed, regardless of how many times we were like, we're going to be here, we're going to take you ourselves. So we are doing every measure we can to kind of remind the kids, to tell them the benefits of it, but there are just some of those struggles that are out of our control.
Thank you for that. My last question, Mr. Soto, this 60% of non-test takers, that is of great concern, that they've gone through this whole complete course of study, and we have 60% that aren't even taking the test. Are we doing something to at least bring it down to 50% next year? Or, addressing this, 60% is a whole bunch of kiddos.
And I'll turn over to Mr. Gonzalez, but yes, the same with you, ma'am. I've had a parent that said their child took some courses and never tested, and as much as she tried to prod him, as much as the school tried to prod this young man, he just would not take this test. And I can't put my finger on it, but our plan, Mr. Norberto, as you can see what the principals do on the campus to monitor these kids.
Well, I was going to mention real quick is that that 60% doesn't mean that 100% of them are in a course that has an IBC. So it's not 100% of the seniors, but in other words, those 60% that are not testing doesn't mean they're in a course that has an IBC attached to it, if that makes sense. So for example, we have at Harlandale High School, we have 218 seniors who are in an IBC class. So I believe we have around 300 seniors. So we're still missing a large amount of them, but it's not all of them. And at McCollum, we have around 238. So Megan, did you want to talk about what the admin supports?
Admin supports.
Yeah, how the admin supports.
We've definitely just kind of changed the conversation up. As Mr. Gonzalez mentioned, not all of the students are in a class or have been in a program long enough to sit down and challenge a certification. So switching of the schedules, a lot of that kind of drop-in classes. We've worked with admin, with our counselors to make sure we really change the dialogue for students to pick a program of study versus picking an elective, right? It's not, I want to take culinary because that sounds fun. It's, I want to take the program of study culinary because I want to graduate and have the credentials to go out and work in a kitchen. Or I don't want to take introduction to welding because, that sounds cool. But then next year I want to take, animation. Where we do want kids to have that choice, they're not prepared to sit down and challenge the certifications to be work eligible upon graduation at that point. So we're helping admin understand and counseling kids through those choices as well.
And I guess if I may to clarify, because I'm a little confused, and I'm sure some other folks in the audience are probably confused. So to clarify, the class 2024 pie chart, we're looking at this is all class of 2024, McCollum and Harlandale. 40% of them took an IBC, but that does not denote that they actually were in an IBC that could be tested. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, that graph represents all seniors.
Okay. Is there a way, Mr. Soto, that the team can get an overview of the data in order just to get a better context of how it's being utilized? Because I'm taking it as what it is, but that kind of gives us a different vantage point of how the IBCs are being implemented, and also can give us a better idea of, hey, we are aligned correctly. It's just such as Ms. Guerrero mentioned, hey, welding elective, not necessarily I'm following the pathway, and it might give our team a better insight into, hey, not necessarily are they all following through and taking the test. They just took maybe one course or two courses. That might be easier for us to get a full body of understanding.
I believe you can pull that data.
Yeah, obviously if it's available, if not, I'm sure we can work as a team collaboratively going forward. Are there any comments, concerns, or clarification needed?
Ms. Moreno, I just have one comment on that. We can work at that information. So basically who is eligible and who isn't. However, when the state pulls our CCMR data, this is what this is, progress towards that, they're gonna look at all students, whether or not they were eligible. So that's how we reported it, but we can definitely get that data for you.
No, and I think that's obviously the route that we'll take, but I think this would be easier for our team to understand, how we put in our resources to support, whatever students are following whichever pathway, and it'll give a better detail, because it might, showcase that and illustrate that, we as a district are providing those resources. It's just technically based on the scoring and the rating, it's a little different. So it's just to definitely highlight what you guys are doing and making sure that the community realizes that, not necessarily like, hey, 60% of you guys didn't even try. So that's what I don't want you guys to look at. I don't want you to lose sight on and get demoralized. Like, no, you guys are doing your part, and I just want everyone to get the full context of the story. So hopefully that's something that we can provide. All right. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this piece?
Chair.
Yes, Mr. Luna.
Yeah, before I ask my question, I'm just gonna make a note here that, before the meeting started, we honored two of our cadets that have, I guess they got their credit right and they're working for the Bexar County. So you could tell in that the audience and the community is very excited about that. But it was just two students. We have over 700 students. So, and then someone mentioned here that it's like a systematic thing because the STAR results are about to reflect about the same thing. So just what I've been exposed to other districts, like Ms. Cavazos, we go to training, is maybe we need to look at what are the other districts doing that get more participation. And I know what some of them are doing is they have peer groups that motivate each other to go participate in the community. They participate in the board meetings, they participate in the city council, and they represent the school, and they represent the school very well. So maybe we could look into that as a district, because it seems to be a systematic thing going on. In some good books I read is that they say a child will lead them. Yeah, a child could lead them. And we do honor a lot of children in this United States of America. Even a Nobel Peace Prize winner has been a child before. So we need to maybe look at that resource, the children themselves. This is a very good video. I love it. I have a marketing degree. It's real good. But it was the teachers, again, it wasn't the students saying themselves. And I know we can get the students to do this stuff maybe on what people call the TikTok. So let them promote ourselves. I'm always finding ways and suggesting ways so we can promote what the good things are going here in Harndale. Because we want what's best for our children. We want what's best for the children, for them to have hope, to have dreams, and to make their dreams come alive. That's what our role is. That's what our goal should be. Thank you so much. So I hope we can figure out a way to be able to promote ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. I guess if there's no further comments, concerns, or clarification needed, thank you guys for the presentation, the information.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item, Mr. Soto, will we be addressing item 5B? The board will be presented the school safety audit for April 2024.
Dr. Hinojosa, I did believe this is an update.
Okay. And the submission of the Texas School Safety Center's district audit report to information. If you may, Dr. Hinojosa, when you're prepared to do so.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board and Mr. Soto. Yes, so for April, we had our final school that was visited during the safety audit. And I believe it was Stonewall. Yeah, I believe it was Stonewall Elementary, which is our final one. And so for the year that marked the last one. And so we were 20 out of 21 of our campuses, which made us score up to 95%. Which isn't 100%, but we're really proud of the campuses that were, and we're also proud of the fact that the campus that did have a finding that they made the corrective actions as needed. So again, we are complete with our school audits, and we finished at 95%.
All right, great news, sir. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6. Do we have a motion to approve items A through M?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Cavazos.
I move to approve consent items A through M.
Approve items A through M by Ms. Cavazos. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Reese.
I second.
All right, we have a second by Ms. Reese. We'll go ahead. I don't believe there's any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this, any of these items. So we'll go ahead and call for the votes, please. It is open. You got it, Mr. Luna? There you go. All right, we can go ahead and close the vote, please. All right, the motion carries. Moving on to the next item, which is individual items. Thank you, principals. 7A, consider and take appropriate action on the request to approve Meteor Education for the purchase of furniture and equipment for the CT Education Center through the Omnia Purchasing Cooperative under contract hashtag R191810 at an estimated cost of $447,033 to be funded from the General Facilities Bond 2022. I guess, Mr. Flores, if you can, I guess to discuss.
Yes. So, Mr. President, members of the board, this item is being brought for your consideration, and it is for equipment for from Meteor Education to equip for furniture and equipment the CTE building that is currently being repurposed for CTE, and that's Carol Bell.
All right, guys, are there any comments, concerns, or clarification in this piece? I know some items were presented in the work session. No, is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
I move that the school board approve Meteor Education for the purchase of furniture and equipment for the CTE Education Center through the Omnia Purchase Cooperative under contract number R191810 at an estimated cost of $447,033 to be funded from the General Facilities Bond 2022.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Ortiz. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ruiz.
I second.
All right, we have a second by Ms. Reese. I don't believe any discussion needed. We can go ahead and move to the vote, please. All right, voting is open. We can go ahead and close vote, please. Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 7B. Consider and take appropriate action on request to approve Madison Tri-Gas Incorporated for the purchase of equipment for the CTE Education Center through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative Contract hashtag 230903 and an estimated cost of $99,630,019 funded through General Facilities Bond 2022. All right, do we have, or Mr. Flores, is there anything specific to address on that part?
No, sir, just really continuing on with the conversation of IBCs. This purchase will help us continue to meet those goals. And so again, for the Carol Bell Education Center CTE building.
Oh, so anyone like to make a motion for this item?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
I move that the Harlandale School Board approve Matheson Tri-Gas Incorporated for the purchase of equipment for the CTE Education Center through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative Contract number 230903 at an estimated cost of $99,630.19 funded through the General Facilities Bond 2022.
We have a motion by Ms. Ortiz. Do we have a second on this item?
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cavazos. We're gonna go ahead and call for the vote on this item. I don't believe any discussion is needed. All right, voting should now be open, please. We can close for the votes. All right, motion carries. Moving on to the next item, 7C. Consider and take appropriate action on request to approve the purchase of computer hardware from Intech Southwest Services utilizing Region 20 Purchasing Cooperative Contract hashtag 222 for the CTE Education Center at estimated cost of $116,960 to be funded from the General Facilities Bond 2022. Do we have anything further on this one, Mr. Flores, or same thing?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so any motion on this piece, or anyone like to make a motion? Yes, Mr. Luna.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of computer hardware from Intech Software Services utilizing Region 20 Purchasing Cooperative Contract number 20022 for the CT Education Center at an estimated cost of $116,960 to be funded from the general funds, facilities bond 2022.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Luna, to approve. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Reese?
I second.
All right, we have a second by Ms. Reese. I don't believe any discussion needed. We're gonna go ahead and call for the vote on this item as well. All right, voting. We can close the vote, please. All right, motion carries. Moving on to the next items is convening closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551 through 071 through 551.084. Item A, discuss and consider the recommended regular personnel reports. Item 8B, discuss regarding intruder detection security audit. Item 8C, consultation with attorney regarding legal issues pertaining to employee grievance filed by Lori Garza. Item 8D, hear and consider level 3 employee grievance filed by Lori Garza. Do we have a motion to convene in closed session?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Ortiz?
I move that the school board convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084 to discuss items 8A through 8D.
All right, great. Do we have a second for the motion?
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cavazos. We'll go ahead and call for the vote. Voting is open. All right, we can close the vote. All right, it is now 7:16 and we are in closed session. Thank you.
Yes, we have a script.
Should we put Ms. Katie over here?
Well, because we want the board to be able to see Katie's argument, because she's not making it just to the computer, she's making it to the board.
Right.
But you want
Okay. Okay. All right, good evening, everybody. We are back on the record in open session, having returned from closed session. The time is now 9:03 PM. I guess prior to that, can we make the motions for the other items first? No action is needed on any of the other items?
Correct.
All right, and we will note that Mr. Mancha did recuse himself at approximately
15.
8:15 PM. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion, and then we'll see how it goes from there. So I move to deny the level 3 appeal of the grievance filed by Lori Garza, and I further move that the board deny the requested remedy. Do we have a second on this item?
Mr. Chair, I second.
Was that Ms. Salazar second? Okay, thank you. We can go ahead and move to the vote. Any clarification or any type of comment needed prior? No discussion? Okay, so we'll go ahead and just call for the vote here. The item is open now. All right, we'll go ahead and call for the vote, please. All right, again, Mr. Mancha's recused himself, so we can close the vote, please. All right, motion carries. All right, moving on to adjournment, right? Is nothing else that I'm missing there? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Luna, if I may. Ms. Cavazos, would you like to share something prior to us adjourning?
Yes, we as a board are always very proud of our students, their success, and their achievements. Although this is not something we do at every regular board meeting, I am going to take it upon myself to do it. So bear with me. We are always so proud of the products of Harlandale, those students that go way beyond what is expected and make the community proud. We have one of our young Harlandale ISD products here, Mr. Caleb Lara, who just graduated from Texas A&M San Antonio, and I want to please give him a round of applause for achieving what we are most proud of. Right there. Thank you for allowing me to say that.
Mr. Chair, I wasn't gonna make an adjournment, Mr. Chair. I was gonna make a comment. Just because I'm an advocate for the community. And so we as fellow board members, I myself make up a commitment to be as positive as possible and be a force and advocate for Harlandale ISD. So like I've been told many, many times, I need to be aware of what I say because words matter and what I choose to speak, especially on this dais. Earlier, like then after I finished, I failed to follow my comments with my question about the reports submitted by Mr. Roberto and the others. Then that question was, what else as a school board can we do to help you motivate and support the increase of students participating in the CTE program process? Because on a personal note, when I stand at that stage on graduation and I hear those words from the dais saying they will join the workforce, it hurts my heart because we have so many opportunities here in Harlandale, so many opportunities, more than I ever could have dreamed of when I started teaching here over 30 years ago. So I just hope some way we find a way to increase that participation, and then also that's going to increase the number of kids that do get certification. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sir. And I hate to end on such a somber note, but I'd be remiss if Mr. Soto didn't politely remind me of the losses that we've experienced this past weekend and this past week. Ms. Villalobos, a longtime member of 23 years here at our district, and also Miss Nancy Smith. So if we may, I apologize for not doing this earlier, but a moment of silence and on their behalf, please. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in that moment of silence. And we did have Mr. Luna who did make a motion to adjourn. Do we also have a second to adjourn?
I second.
Second by Ms. Ortiz. Thank you, ma'am. And we'll go ahead and call for the vote, please. Voting is open. We can close the vote, please. All right, it is now 9:09 and we are close, or we have now adjourned.